for the first game, but however, we're hoping we can get it on the second game.
Indeed, and it's a real shame because we do indeed have some rather spicy picks. But the first game, looking at it briefly on the overview, um, I've seen something that I've seen in a ranked game before that was painful, for me at least, and I'm wondering if it will be for Just Built Different tonight, and that is Alyssa playing the Ao Kwong here in the jungle against Mystic Megatron on this Thor. Hopefully he can have a better performance than last time when he played this god. Didn't have a huge amount of impact, so he'll be hoping for some improvement. Alyssa's going to be here hoping to carry. Interestingly, Benadryl Babylonians, their support, Gordon, is back from a sprained hand, but Ket Monster, the captain, not available, so we've got Marsh subbing in as ADC and Alyssa moving into the jungle for tonight. Cabane on the ADC on Just Built Different. So a couple of changes for both teams here. We know JBD like to shift around their ADCs. We'll see how this one plays out. Mitch, I'm excited for this one. I think this has got the capabilities to go to 3 games. I wouldn't want to call it straight off.
It's quite interesting to go with the start that the Benadryl Babylonians are starting off. It's like we've gone back to the start of the season with the Horus and the Boat of Frenzy.
It is indeed. They're looking for definitely this pressure here. And you look at the rest of the comp. They've got the Persephone, Cthulhu, and the Ao Kwong. They needed the extra physical damage. Horus provides a semi-global ult. He's got good lane pressure, which pairs nicely with Chernobog. Very strong still in the meta at the moment, so I see no issues with bringing it out. The other side, Hoyi does quite nicely into Ao Kwong, able to track it through. So I think both these hunter picks decent here. Dorsey on what he does very well, which is playing Jing Chen. Same with Nopex D in mid on the Baba Yaga. So definitely some comfort picks coming out here. But some good picks and strong picks at the same time.
So I'd also like to note as well, I don't know how I feel about that. Oh wait, hold on.
Dorsey a little bit out of position here, unlikely to take too much damage. They're just going to go back to clearing on the side of the Babylonians.
I am interested in this Ao Kwong because, competitively speaking, Ao Kwong's not really been that popular, so I think this is definitely an illicit comfort pick out of everything that we've seen so far.
Absolutely is, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that new revamped Bancroft's Talon with the Nimble passive on it. Used to be on Rod of Tahuti prior, of course, but now back to, well, not back to, but on the Bancroft's Talon, so mixing that boosted lifesteal passive with the ability to gain more attack speed from having power. Very, very nice little combination here in terms of doing a nice little lifesteal build and no built-in anti-heal for Just Built Different, so definitely has the potential to do some work here.
Yeah, and we don't see much Thor recently, but to be honest, I prefer the Thor over the Ao Kwong by a significant amount. And I also appreciate the Shiva as well because he's quite good early to mid game. So if he can manage to outpressure this Cthulhu, then that will give him the bit of a running start. But once he gets to like late game, I think this Cthulhu definitely is going to be more preferred over a Shiva.
Absolutely. Dual lane, a lot of boxing going on at the moment between the, well, mostly onto Dorsey actually. Benadryl Babylonians getting very aggressive onto here, specifically Gordon. Marsh just looking to clear, getting the odd bit of hope with it. We can see how much damage is being dealt. Same damage from Cabane, but not impactful when you've got that Horus's healing with the Watchers and Potions. He's got a nice amount of sustain there.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's also worth to note out as well with this Horus. This team. Oh wait, hold on.
Frenzy's going in. They're engaging onto Dorsey here. Eats does come out from Marsh and the Frenzy from Gordon, but no kills going down. Dorsey does use the shell, but that's 2 relics for 1. That's a lot of pressure coming out for Benadryl Babylonians. Stolen away some camps, but I think they'll be able to get more here. Second purple buff, a very, very risky invade with that jungler and mid laner rotating for red buff.
Yeah, as I was saying with this Horus, this gives the Benadryl Babylonians a lot of team play potential, more sort of like moving around and making some plays. Which I'm up on, knowing Gordon as he's like one of the top 3 supports. Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, we've got Traumatized here, getting engaged on 1-2 Hunter, turning it around on the Cthulhu. He's got Alyssa here as well onto the Shiva. Beats does come out from Traumatized, he's kiting them under the tower. Tyr actually picks up first blood. 1-2 Hunter does get him in return, just about survives the tower damage, but Alyssa falling to the first blood, giving that to the Shiva there. That's not quite how you want that to pan out. Good use of the beads from Tyr, and he gets first blood.
I think she tried ulting him, but that was just not worth it at all.
Yeah,
like, the first blood was definitely, it's first blood just give you like bonus XP and stuff like that, but like trading it to the person. Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, nah, he's not going to get this here, Megatron. Thor is not going to do enough damage. He's probably maxing the hammer, so the spin to win not going to do enough to kill the 1-2 Hunter there.
Out of both these comps, which one do you prefer? Which one do you reckon you'd want to run yourself?
Just build difference.
Really?
Yeah, I just think. I mean, we're looking at it here. I look at the fact that they've got the Jing Chen, they've got the Thor. I like the capabilities to get into the backline with that Shiva just running at them. Hoyi's a really nice pickup against Yao Kwang because you can just track the movements of the Kwang like wherever they're trying to engage on the backline. Granted, you might have the Cthulhu there with you, and the Horus, but I feel like the Horus has got like one combo. Once he's used it, it's down. It's very easy to avoid. The Cthulhu you can somewhat ignore. He's gonna knock you up, but you don't have to hit him. If you can get that Kwang isolated and take them out, which is very possible for a Kwang to just eat the ults here from the Ho Yi and the Baba Yaga. Like, this is a comp where I think the ability to get onto the backline is just better for just built different.
I'm honestly a big fan of the Babylonians draft because I feel like if it's well, if it works well and gets the lead, I think it's extremely annoying to deal with. But if this comp does fall behind though, Persephone isn't doing too much other than being an ult bot. Ao Kwang's not going to do that much because with comp he's just not going to get close enough to pull off his ult. Honestly, I think this is kind of dependent on the Cthulhu and Chernobog because team fight with Cthulhu as well as Persephone ult is just insane, and then if Marsh can handle this Chernobog properly, then the amount of rotations his teams can make during the mid to late game is quite ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the key thing that you've said there is that it's in the mid to late game. He has to start using this earlier, get this sort of farm around. Once he's got this third item, I've said this all season, Hunters, once they've got 3 items online, they've got their sort of core power, their attack speed, pen, and their sustain on, which they will have by that stage. That's when they're really starting to become strong and they're becoming relevant. If you can start getting rotations then, before we've got a huge amount of dedicated healing, is Baba Yaga here falling a little bit low. Big damage coming out from Taka onto the Baba Yaga. No pick Steve. A little bit out of position, just surviving. Because on the other side now, Traumatize getting engaged on, does pop the ult with the Shiva, but Cthulhu there with the Ao Kwang, they're looking for the kill and they're going to get it. Alyssa picks up that one on Traumatized. He's now died twice. 1-2 Hunter, 1-0-1, Alyssa 1-1-1. That's a nice pickup for the Benadryl Babylonians. 2 engagements, preventing the counter engage onto the solo lane. Really nicely done.
I mean, unfortunately, that's just kind of one of the biggest downsides of Shiva as a whole. When he's in his ult, he's not really doing that much because already he was in a 1v2 scenario, and with, well, yeah, he did have CC immunity in his ult. He no longer has that 20% mitigations that he used to have. So, well, yeah, he's healing a decent amount. He's still getting burst down, which is just honestly just kind of a downside of Shiva as a whole.
The time to actually cast that healing is just so long that it's never really going to be useful. As Gordon did steal away one of those oracles there. Nice use of the one to just get that bit of range clear. But yeah, the Shiva very much wants to fight without the ult and then use it to chase or disengage later. In lane, when you're that far pushed up, you're not really going to be getting out.
It's just, unfortunately, the Cthulhu does more in a team fight, and if this Cthulhu gets ahead, I don't think we're going to see much of this Shiva.
Yeah, kind of disappointed not seeing any ults come out from the Thor so far. I'd really expect to be looking to burn some beads from the mid laner here. When you've got Dorsey there on the Jing Chen as well, they really want to be using these ults fairly common or often. Especially now, if you can get those beads burned before Pyromancer spawn, that's going to be really good timing for it, so that you've then got that objective pressure, which you might not otherwise have. As right now, every single member of Benadryl Babylonians, and Just Built Different, sitting there with relics available. I think this stage of the game, that's going to favour the Babylonians. As we see Alyssa once again going over to the solo lane here, but going in a little bit early on her own, taking a lot of damage from Traumatized so far. Nice use of the heal from the 1-2 Hunter to get Alyssa out, but now is missing Megatron. He's in the air and he's looking hungry for kills here. He sees Cthulhu, the 1-2 Hunter sat by the tower. Just hit the stun, gets the tower. He's come out from Cthulhu. Really nice use of that there to stay alive. Traumatized is chasing this, but the 1-2 Hunter's got most of his kit available still. He is going to fall to Mystic Megatron here, not really taking too much damage with the minions there. And that's a nice little return cleanup from Just Built Different. Just a little bit too much aggression there onto the solo lane, not respecting how much damage output that Shiva's having right now.
Yeah, it seems that both teams are trying to focus on getting their solo lane ahead, because if either one of these gets ahead, it's such an impact on team fights that this is just what they seem to be focused on. Because Alyssa's been there like what, 3 times now?
I mean, if we're looking at it, this is probably the play for the teams. If anything though, I'm messing Megatron and wanting to engage on a Persephone here. Thor has really nice potential to just chase her down and follow her. even if she dashes and beads, because of that maneuverability that he has. Persephone dash isn't that long. I'd like to see him put some more focus onto the mid lane here, rather than the solo. Myself, Alyssa doing the right thing, Baba Yaga, Ho Yi both counter her quite nicely. As we see Marshall going a bit aggressive onto the dual lane, does fall before Gordon can get there and before the Living Nightmare can be cast. That's a kill for Cobain onto the Ho Yi and gets him online with that Transcendence. The extra stacks picking up from that. Really good for him. Really nice amount of sustain as well from Death's Toll. That's a good swing.
One thing I'd like to point out as well, that Gordon is going into an earring.
Yeah, he is. I think that's going to
item.
be... This could be everything, because this could be the Manticores or the Fae earrings. Both of them would work somewhat decently on the Horus here, and he is going aggressive onto Cobain. The dash is down. The ult comes in. Living Nightmare from Marsh. Beads come out from Cobain. He's getting chased down. That's dash, and
Great
Gordon picking up that kill. Really nice use of the Horus ult to pick up that one. And Alyssa here looking for a cheeky red buff steal. I don't think she got it. Missing Megatron, I think, picking that up. Indeed, he did. Now Alyssa's out of position. She doesn't have the Living Waters to run away, and that means Missing Megatron does get a free ult, but he doesn't hit it. Now Gordon's there for a bit of counter engage, but he's unaware that Dorsey and Nopex D are here, both of them with ultimates available. This could be a big swing. Mystic Megatron going in a little bit alone, gets executed by Alyssa. That takes him out of the fight before it's even really begun. Dorsey now using the Whirlwind Pain onto Gordon to try and pull him out into Nopex D's ult, but Gordon just dashing out. Really nice peel from him, really nice use of the execute by Alyssa. Megatron had his beads available.
I mean, Gordon's initiation at the start of that team fight when he just ulted in was just amazing, and it just shows how much, if he gets Manticores, he's going to be doing a lot of damage, and I think with this being his first game back, I think Gordon's wanting to make a bit of an impact this game to show that, yeah, he might have a sprained hand, but it's not going to hold him back.
No, not at all, and in fact, he is even going to Fae Blessed Hoop, so looking for more sustain in these fights. Thinking, I'm just going to heal my team up as much as possible, and we know how capable he is on these healers. Picking, say, Yamoja, Baron, Samedi, having a lot of pressure on those two and doing incredible amounts of healing. Even just having Benevolence if he's playing, say, Ymir and healing 6,000 across a game. Very, very capable of a good amount of healing, Gordon, so I'm not surprised we're seeing that here as well.
Yeah, it's also worth knowing as well that Dorsey's going into a Cronus Pendant for his third item, so two very different support styles are playing in here, and I'm just very curious to see how they both go, because Dorsey's definitely much more of an aggressive support.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite common on the Xingqian. You get that cooldown because you've got a lot of sustain and tankiness within your abilities. Once you've got that Thebes online, the HP 5 you're getting, plus the just flat damage mitigations from the 1, the protections from the dash. There's a lot of ways that you can actually survive an engagement, so a lot of Xingqian players at the moment picking up this Cronus Pendant because they can afford to early on in the build and not get outscaled as just a different looking for the steal here, but not getting it. The Scorpion secured by Benadryl Babylonians. Tyr chasing deep, but not going to get anything for it. No camps up. Alyssa's done an efficient clear, and she's just going to get a free back off here as Tyr a little bit out of position now, gets engaged on by the 1-2 Hunter, but no more follow-up from Gordon, recognizing he's just a bit too tanky right now.
Yeah, and I'd also like to notice as well with Persephone that she sold her third item, which is, I don't know if this is a bug in the Spectator, but her third item's just gone.
I think it's just a change of heart in what she's building, if I'm being honest.
Possibly going into Sphere of the Magus, which isn't an item you see very much anymore, especially with just Flat Pen as a whole, right? Because at the moment it's currently stuff like Soul Reaver, Obshard, something, percent penetration, but Flat Pen isn't really that popular at the moment unless you're building a Divine Ruin.
Yeah, and I don't think it's hugely gonna help against this team either. I mean, you've got the Thor and the Shiva who are going to be most of what's in your face, and also with how Dorsey plays it, the Xingqian as well as Benadryl Babylonians here, picking up a cheeky Gold Fury on the slide. Nice beats from Marsh, and now the ult comes in. Dorsey finding himself a little bit vulnerable. He's out of position, but they're not taking this engagement any further, except Alyssa. She's gone in on her own. Does get the execute off, and Dorsey falls here. That's a kill and a Gold Fury in favor of Benadryl Babylonians here. They're really taking this game to just build different.
I mean, I think this is one of the few teams that can definitely put a challenge to just built different, because I know that Feels Bacchus Man took a game from them, but then JVD still won 2-1 at 2-1. So I'm very curious to see if Benadryl Babylonians can also take a game off them and even possibly win the set, because that would be JVD's first loss, I believe.
It would. Marsh here a little bit out of position, getting engaged on by Combane, but not quite going to fall. Interesting the build here out of Combane, going that Transcendence into the Iqval, so not valuing sustain that much against what can be quite an aggressive support, and actually, honestly, against this team, I'd want as much sustain as possible against an Al Kwong. He recognizes here he's probably just dead. They're trying to take away the neutral camps as soon as possible. Alyssa and Gordon on the chase. Cobain's with a slither of HP. There comes the Al Kwong, picking up yet another kill. And as I said, Alyssa here, she's got that nimble Bancroft. She's started to reach a power spike because on the other side, just feel different, taking away a Pyromancer, recognizing that the engagement was onto the left lane and just nullifying their losses a bit.
This Kwang is just doing so much work. Like, you can clearly tell that Alyssa is used to playing this gun, and at first I wasn't so sure, but she's definitely selling it to me at the moment.
Yeah, you can just see how she's engaging. She's sort of going into fights, getting out, and then going back in and afterwards with that execute and just picking someone off before the enemy team has a chance to re-engage. We saw it on the Gold Fury after it went down, how she then took out Dorsey afterwards, who doesn't have beads. So right now, just a sitting target, and I'm not against just taking a tank out of every single fight here. I think that's good for Benadryl Babylonians. The Shiva late game is going to be annoying, but very easy to deal with once he's in that ultimate. So why not take away the Jing Chen? That takes away a lot of pressure.
Yeah, as well. It's also worth noting that. Oh wait.
Yeah, Traumatized getting engaged on Alyssa. Back to solo again. She really likes this island and does force out the Shiva ult. Not going to pick up anything more for it. Buffs are down, but spawning soon is missing. Megatron's looking at Marsh here on the duo side. Once again, falling short on Thor ult, but picks up the double tap. Gets the auto cancel. There's the kill for him. Marsh goes down. But he's still a level up on Cobain right now. I don't think he minds too much.
It's also worth knowing that he's still building crit into Hui. Now, I'm not saying that once he's on the field, crit is completely off the table, but it does hurt his 1v1 percentage quite a bit.
Does indeed. No Pegs D here out of position now, and he's going to fall through the ultimate. Nice engagement from Gordon and Taka there to just pick him out of position. Good use of the Persephone ult. Benadryl Babylonians finding a lot of pressure here. I think this is one of the cleanest games I've seen Taka play all season, to be honest. He's piloting this Persephone very well. Alyssa's getting a little bit aggressive, but look at the lifesteal she has. Avoids the whirling rage of steel or whatever from the Jing Chen, and now just looking aggressive onto Megatron. The shell comes out from Jing Chen, who does now have the beads, but Megatron out of position. Marsh is here, Gordon's here, missing Megatron, does get the stun off, is falling lower and lower. Is he going to fall? He's not falling, gets the hammer off, he's out. Dorsey picks up the kill onto Gordon, that's a kill thrown. Now Marsh is out of position with Traumatized and Dorsey engaging on him. Got the Trebuchet to help, he needs to get in range for those protections. Shiva dashes in, Alyssa's back for more, she's there looking at Dorsey. Dorsey healing up a little bit, Alyssa's going on him with no mana, the Shiva ultimate does come out. And we see Marsh falls to Traumatized here, who's now chasing down Taka, who's got very low health available. The Shiva cooldown's coming back up shortly. There's the dash, Taka falls as well, and then with Alyssa having no mana, is this going to be a triple kill? 1-2 Hunter is here to defuse it. It's not going to get the third, but that was a huge turnaround for Just Built Different, who even out the gold lead that Benadryl Babylonians had. And on the side, Cobain's taken a tower and the red buff.
I mean, that was all for one kill, which they didn't even get, and then Just Built Different literally just took everything back from them. And what?
Yeah.
Like, that Shiva was amazing. The amount of damage he made with his ult is ridiculous, and then unfortunately Cthulhu was just a bit too late to the party to influence the fight. But I don't think there's that much he could have done either way.
Yeah, I think the problem there was that they got Benadryl Babylonians got a really good kill into mid onto Nopex D. They forced Megatron low, let him go at that stage, just take a tower. Or look to set up for an objective. We got Gold Fury spawning soon, and they're only just coming back up. So timing on that's not awful, but why not start to put pressure on this mid tower? Why not start to maybe look at taking away the duo tower or the solo tower as Alyssa here goes on to Cobain. Cobain just uses dash. That's the Aegis coming out. Does soak up most of the dragons. Uses the beads and the ultimate and the stun from missing Megatron. Alyssa falls.
Good.
Really good counter gang from Megatron there to stop the Al Kwong picking up another kill.
That was very close as well, and now it looks like that Benadryl Babylonians are taken away for a Gold Fury.
Two players backing. They've got their Hunter and two tanks here. There is a decent call for them to be starting this up as well. Taka here as well. They've got the player advantage. I'm surprised they haven't honestly engaged harder onto that. Nopex D taking a huge amount of damage from the Persephone there. A nice big chunk coming out.
Honestly, Huey was so close. He was so close to dying, but I think Alyssa's getting a bit too greedy. She's dived a lot of towers now and is dying to them, and I'm not saying that she can't take them, because if Huey's beast was down, that was going to be an execute and get away, but I think at this rate, I think she needs to slow down a bit, because she's already, significantly ahead with so far in IOBs and stuff, but I think she needs to calm down a little bit, because if she keeps doing it, it's going to eventually snowball into a bit of a disadvantage for her.
Yeah, and as we see here, aggression onto the Gold Fury from Just Built Different. They're getting aggressive onto this with only Traumatized in the solo side. Horus does find a good engagement here. Foodwall as well, and Takka's on missing Megatron out of position. He falls to the 1-2 Hunter. Big crits coming out from Marsh. Primal Fury's reset. Cabane tries to disengage. Dorsey's still there. There are still ults available. Not the Hoagie. Baba Yaga ult is down. Marsh taking a lot of damage. Does have the RC passive, but playing it back, playing it scared. Cabane now taking huge damage. There's the Hoagie ult coming back off cooldown. Whirling blades of steel and whatever coming out from the Jingqian. I keep forgetting the name of that. But not finding any targets. Alyssa's back and now potential to turn this Gold Fury in the favor of Benadryl Babylonians. But look who's around the corner. Is Traumatized on this Shiva. He blinks in. He's going straight for the Hunter. Marsh falls very, very quickly, and now it's just Gordon who's looking to get himself and the rest of his team out. Alyssa is here on the back. Cabane has fallen very, very low, and she's looking to get this kill here. Gordon just trying to get himself out, taking a lot of damage from NopeXD. Alyssa's turned her sights now to Dorsey, doing a lot of damage to him, but she's going to take a lot from NopeXD, not finding much healing because of this Divine Ruin here. With the rest of her team gone, she needs to be very careful that she doesn't fall and give away a free Gold Fury.
Yeah, this fight's still going on. Oh.
Yeah, it is. Hunter now getting dragged back in by Shiva. He falls to Traumatized, who's having a great showing here. Alyssa has healed back up, doesn't have the execute available, but does have a lot of just damage in her kit ready with the Typhon's Fang done here as now well. Now as well, got the penetration online as well as the lifesteal, the Ring of Hecate to shred. Are they going for this, or is this just a bait? They have indeed pulled it. Dorsey's ready in the wings, as is NopeXD, but Takka's here. He's got a lot of damage from range. Mystic Megatron does go up into the air. Good stun from Dorsey, which means Alyssa does get locked down, and there, once again, it's the Jingqian. Bane picking up that kill. Takka's there, has the ultimate. Doesn't look to be going for the steal. Where he is he going to get it? No, Just Built Different. Get it with the Baba Yaga. And while he does get a lot of damage out, Horus looking to engage here. Mystic Megatron not quite going to get pulled and does get the stun off. No more harm is going to come for Just Built Different.
Yeah,
and the cohesion they have just starting to pull these fights together.
Yeah, like I think Babylonians definitely had a stronger early game and they were definitely exerting their pressure, but JBD is definitely more of a team fight oriented team, and that's showing now because now they managed to pull back the lead better Joe Babylonians had, and they're starting to make a lead of their own.
Yeah, I think ways that they could potentially change this round. I'm looking at builds here. I would like to, I'd still like to see more sustain coming out from the Hoyi right now. He's able to do a lot, but we see how low he is getting in very quickly in these fights, just not able to keep himself topped up. I'd also like to see Alyssa pick up a Magi's Cloak here, just so she's got that bit safer engage that she can't get immediately turned upon, because I feel like at the moment she's just going in a little bit too aggressively now. She's going in alone without the backup of her team, and it's causing her to fall a little bit foul of JBD and just get picked up as Gordon here. And the 1-2 Hunter looking for the steal onto Pyromancer. They're not going to get it, and that's an ult used. Gordon now getting pulled out of position by Dorsey on the Jingqian. He is there trying to run away. Cabane chases, dashes, and misses the ricochet and the ultimate, which means that no more is going to happen to Gordon. That's a good ult use, but look at Alyssa. She's going in alone here, really out of position. Going to get followed up by Mystic Megatron, who takes a lot of damage, but no need for her to go in like that, and she's just so out of position. Megatron now going into the air, and this team is grouped up, does get the dunk down. Marsh gets the tier 2 and does rotate, but it's going to be too little too late. He's going to fall almost immediately. Huge damage being taken on his part. There's the Aegis. 1-2 Hunter just about managing to get him out, is in mid. Traumatized diving and successfully killing Takka. JBD are going to reset here and just get ready for a Fire Giant.
I mean, how long was it since like Babylonians had their advantage? Look how fast it switched on them now. And what's also worth mentioning as well, I don't really know how I feel about this Persephone build overall, because while I do agree with the Archmage's gem into Warlock Staff, I just don't agree with the Magus at all, really. And then Obshard as well.
Yeah,
it's a very odd Persephone build.
It is. I think the theory behind it is for the plants to be doing damage, but I've not really seen them do a huge amount of anything in these fights. I'm not seeing the plants really get utilized just because Takka's not being able to use them on himself. He's just having to dash away so early, and there's going to be now a Fire Giant for Just Built Different. Honestly, I much would have preferred maybe a Soul Gem in that item slot, just for the extra healing, that little bit extra burst that the Persephone can do. Maybe even like a Mantle of Discord just for the protections it can give and survivability. Persephone's still going to do a lot of damage with the Jotuns and Warlocks, so why not have a bit more protection? As Hunter just used his dash. There's no way Just Built Different don't punish this. Traumatized, just looking at this blue buff. Hunter's being forced into that ultimate already just because he went for blue, but he doesn't even get
That's unfortunate. Plus, it's also worth mentioning as well. The Ao Kwang weaknesses are showing now, because obviously Alyssa's a very competent Ao Kwang, as shown in the early game. She was getting some very good kills, but as soon as she's spotted, she's dead,
Yeah, these
and
team
she has
fights
no
are
way
not
out.
strong for that god. Yeah, you are completely correct. That's why I say I think she needs the Magi's. Right now, she's just not able to do much, and Dramatize just doesn't care. He's got that healing from the Soul Eater. He's got his Spirit Robe, his only hunter. He's got a lot of mitigations right now. And with that Bluestone, he's doing a lot of damage as he's demonstrating here. Running once again at Marsh. Doesn't even get the Living Nightmare off. And now we see the engagement from Megatron chasing Taki. Uses the beads, dashes away. Isn't going to get out, I don't think. No, Traumatize picking up a double kill here. Lots of damage coming out from Megatron. Now Alyssa falls to Nopex D. They're going to get 3 Phoenix each here, just built different. And these fights are just dropping further and further away from the Babylonians. Gordon does engage here, but he doesn't have the follow-up from the 1-2 Hunter. Now he's out of position, most likely going to fall. Does get the dash off to try and heal. Bane dashing forward after him. Gordon just about getting to the fountain. The 1-2 Hunter joining him, but with no backup. I don't think these two can do enough damage to prevent the Titan siege here. We've already down to half health. Gordon's going to fall. Nobody overly low on the side. 1-2 Hunter does pick up Mystic Megatron, but that's not the target that you need. Titan falling lower and lower and lower. 10%, 5%. The ult comes out from Cthulhu. Titan falls. Game 1 to just built different.
Unfortunate as well, because Babylonians definitely had a promising start, but honestly, there was a lot of questionable decision making and just how they were playing team fights. Like Gordon's a very decent, like very good Horus. I mean, we saw him earlier in the game, but there was a lot of situations where he was just teleporting on his own.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem that he had was just the fact that Alyssa was getting so picked out that he couldn't engage with her, or the 1-2 Hunter already had to blow his ult to get Alyssa out, meaning that he couldn't engage with Gordon either. So both of them struggling to really get into these fights and do anything impactful. And the other disappointing thing, the real lack of rotation from the Chernobog. I mean, you see here 0, 5, and 4. Very little damage. Got a tier 2, granted, but really just not exerting the pressure around across the map that Chernobog should have, or just using it to get to lane, I think. And it's really, really disappointing. You know, you pick this god for the ability to get around the map, and Marsh just not utilizing that enough, I think, to warrant this pick here.
Yeah, as well as also like to mention as well the we both said either if the Cthulhu gets ahead or the Shiva gets ahead, that's going to be a complete deciding factor in team fights. It ended up being the Shiva because Traumatized played that Shiva brilliantly. He was in the back line, he'd blink in, teleport in, one, and then it was either their Baba or their Cherno who was just dead at that point. Nothing really could have stopped him then.
He just had doing too much damage with the Glad Shield, the Soul Eater. He wasn't really dying quick enough either. Um, no decision to build much anti-heal from Benadryl Babylonians, which fair enough. You could maybe argue it with the Shiva ult, the Jing Chen sustain, but without her, you go lifesteal. Really, probably not that necessary. So I do
Yeah,
agree. I think Gabane's potentially could have been punished more for the lack of sustain, and his build in general, I'm not a fan of. Not looking to even go into a Deathbringer in this build, so unless it's being, the Iqval being sold late game, and I'm just thinking, well, really, you're leaving it so late. Like in this slot, what we're going to see in after Silver Branch, you're leaving the penetration so late as well. I just think had Marsh been in these fights more, and we had like some more consistent and ongoing 5v5 team fights, we would have seen that this Yi maybe wouldn't have done a huge amount here.
yeah, as well. If I had to change one thing about the Babylonians comp as a whole, I probably would have taken out the Chernobog because, as a whole, they just weren't really taking advantage of their full team fight potential, as you said as well. And I think if we're going into the next game, I don't think the Ao Kwang is worth picking because I think Alyssa's definitely proven herself to be a very competent jungler. It's just that on an unsafe pick like Ao Kwang, as soon as she was spotted, she was dead. So I think she needs to pick into a jungler that's maybe a bit more mobility, a bit more safety, so she can have that chance that if she is caught out, she can get away, so she can regroup with her team and then have a bit more of a team fight as well because during that whole late game process it felt like GBD was on a whole nother like move ahead of them, and then when Babylonians did come in to answer to their calls, it was very it never really felt like a five. It always felt like someone in like the Benadryl was missing, and I think if you're going to pick the Chernobog and the Horus, scenarios like that really shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that changed for Babylonians on top of that as well. I wouldn't change the Horus. I think that pick worked. I would change. I think there are two main things, honestly. The Alquang, I'd put a Bastet in instead.
Mm,
You've got a lot more CC, a lot more safety in the poke in the fights, and having that poke against the Ho Yi is going to be really nice and useful.
mm.
And the other thing, Taka's build didn't even go to Reaver in that fourth item spot, went instead for Book of the Dead. Obviously, you
Uh,
didn't get much
mm,
value from it. You need to be able to shred these tanks down when they're running at you. There's no point trying to survive against them. It's not going to happen. They're going to out-survive you. They're tanks.
pl-
Make
Plus,
it so that you can shred them down the correct way. And I think her build, Taka's build even, just was not the way to do that. And it was not going to enable him to survive in these fights.
it's also worth noting that build doesn't really provide that much extra mana, so the shield of Book of the Dead wasn't going to be as big as it possibly could be. Because if you're really going to go a Book of the Dead build, surely Book of Thoth is better than Warlock Staff.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Or
then,
honestly, even just double stacking, getting both, which some mid laners have been doing recently.
yeah, especially, and with this JBD comp as well, I think the Shiva might be worth a ban, but then again, Traumatize is quite literally just built different. He's a very competent solo lane. I think he's top of the power rankings, so he's a very hard solo lane to ban out. But overall, if you were Benadryl Babylonians, which out of these picks that JBD have would you ban the most? Which one do you think warrants the ban?
I just get rid of Dorsey Jingchen.
Hmm.
Honestly, he's been picking it so much recently. It's clearly a pick that he's comfortable on. Force him onto something else for once.
Hmm.
Make it so he has to do something else.
Who would you also give the MVP to of this game?
I think that easily goes to tier.
Hmm.
I mean, the work that that man did when he was getting ganked, he managed to pick up that first blood kiting really well. And just stayed in it, even with the amount of pressure that they put onto him. He kept himself even without a teleport and just did huge amounts of work, taking both of the carries out of every single fight. Tier, without a doubt. He has destroyed this game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I don't really have any arguments about that. And honestly, that's just all she wrote, really. I think now we need to go into game two when we can to pick some bans because I think this is definitely going to be if Benadryl don't ban out this, Jing Chen, maybe the Shiva, and try and focus on a bit more of their team fight potential, then I think they're definitely in trouble for game two. But I definitely think they can bring it back.
Yeah. I think for the meantime, though, we will get ourselves going into a short break while we wait for the lobby to get set up and we wait for picks and bans here. I hope you enjoyed game one, and we will be back with you guys in chat very, very shortly. Everybody, and welcome back to the glorious Smite League Lower Division. We're here for Game 2 between the Benadryl Babylonians and Just Built Different. Benadryl Babylonians losing Game 1 to Just Built Different after a promising start to the early game. They're continuing here on first pick and looking to hopefully take some games back. And hopefully this set off of Just Built Different. Starting off with some very standard bans here. Yu Huang being taken away from NopeXT and Freya being taken away from Alyssa this time on the ADC. We have got a swap around for Benadryl Babylonians, where they are now taking Alyssa into the carry and Marsh into the jungle.
Yeah, I think Alyssa's jungle showed a lot of potential, but unfortunately our Kwang's just not a very safe pick overall. I know that she has a good best stat, but it could have been banned in the picks and bans. We just don't, unfortunately, know that, unfortunately. And I'm hoping that Babylonians ban out a Jingqian at least, or just a support other than Khepri, because Dozzy's a very good support, and I can imagine he's very hard to ban out, because I highly doubt he has a thin god pool. But I think the Jingqian is such a standard pick for JBD, I'd be very surprised if they don't ban it.
Absolutely. I mean, the Jingqian especially, he's been playing it a lot recently, and I think that's what we're seeing them contemplate here, is what do we take away? Not wanting to leave key things on the table, but Mystic as a jungler, you don't necessarily need to worry about the sort of standard jungle bans. Mystic's not someone who goes out and plays things like Mercury or Baka or Kali. That's just not something that he really plays. They have banned it here, and just showing almost a lack of research. If you look at Mystic's history, he doesn't play these gods. You put him on someone like Darji, you put him on someone like Thor, someone like Pele. That's what he wants to play. He wants to play these ability gods. He's not here to be a basic attacker, and that's getting banned out, which means the Jingqian is still open here.
He definitely likes ability lockdown when it comes to his jungler. He likes the ability like base power, and then if all else fails, he still has a good amount of CC to set up for his team, which I don't know, like you said, I don't know why they're burning Mercury, especially with him not really playing auto attack gods, but especially the top team, surely you'd know this.
Well, you'd hope so, but maybe just without the normal captain around who, let's face it, has some good insight into the other teams. Matt here, he's very much got inroads into the other teams and knows about the other players. And wondering here if the rest of his team actually do. Whereas we do see though, Baba Yaga locked in first for attacker, something that could be very safe. I'm not against it. And on the other side, Cleaner coming in now. Is that going to go into jungle or solo or even mid? Very big flex pick here.
Honestly, I see it gravitating towards solo. It also depends on what Benadryl Babylonians could like draft as well, because it can be moved either way, but it suits Tier quite a bit. As soon as Tier gets started mid to late game, he will ravage the backline, and since he'll be in a wall, very little is going to stop him.
Yeah, if they're not tracking what walls exactly he's in, that is going to do a lot. So I agree, I do see this going into the solo lane most likely. But we'll see what the rest of the Just Built Different picks are here. They're taking their time on this one and eventually going into the Ganesh. So moving away from the Jingqian this time, looking at something more protective and something that is a better counter to the Baba Yaga. Being able to just completely stop that dash from casting, as well as her one. You can completely nullify her from doing anything, easily lock her down with this Ganesh. I like this pick.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Ganesh is probably one of the best supports to pick in a comp smite, especially in Galari. I think it's just a very safe pick that you can fit into any comp, because it can either be extreme amount of lockdown or a very confident way of peeling. And Dozzy's a very good support, as you know, I said this a few times now. This lets Dozzy flip back and forth, whether he wants to be aggressive, I'm going to set up for my team for big players, or okay, they have a bit of advantage in team fights, I'm going to peel, because there's not really much you can do when there's a Ganesh silence and he's placed down his Dharmic pillars.
Yeah, their main thing here for Benadryl Babylonians is looking at someone who can just kind of take their backline away and actually just get onto them after the Ganesh has used his silence, because after that he doesn't have much AoE peel. He's kind of like a Geb. He can take away one person or he can take away one CC. The Ganesh is only going to be able to use the grab after that, and if you got two people engaging, there's nothing more he can do, especially if he's used that aggressively. On that front, I don't mind this Apollo here. I think that definitely can get into the back line. I would have preferred a Chernobog, because to be honest, I hate Apollo at the moment. I do not rate the strength of the go. Okay, we are going into full...
No, wait,
this is a revert of game 1. What?
What? That's fine, yeah. Whoa,
Client
whoa.
bugs! Yay!
That doesn't make sense. Let's talk about the
I
Apollo
think
pick
that
there.
I think they closed the client. Someone ran out of time, so it's gone on to the last game.
Okay, so let's just carry on talking as if we know what they've picked so far, and just hopefully see how they can fix it. But I agree. The Apollo, I think Chernobog is just about Apollo, especially with how much mana consumption that Apollo unfortunately does come with. And if Apollo's ulting and you see him coming, Ganesh just kind of counters that completely. Can't dash away. He's not going to mez. Going to force his beast pretty early, and I think Alyssa likes it quite a bit. So I mean, she must have if they picked it quite this early. And then with the Kukulkan struggles against Ganesh in my opinion.
Yeah, I see what you mean, because you can sort of wait for the Kukulkan to engage, and it's the same thing with, the Baba Yaga. You can just wait for the Baba to try and do anything. You just lock her down. And the same with Kukulkan. If you lock him down before he gets his rage online, he's very easy to kill without that HP 5 and the extra health that he gains. So being able to keep him there, stop him from dashing away, like, it's very easy to kind of get this Kukulkan down before he's able to do anything. Your carries can deal with the damage before they're in range to get knocked up. So it's really safe. And the Kukulkan then isn't going to engage because he can be so low, he has to get out.
Even then, if he blinks ults, if Ganesh sees it coming, if Ganesh is in his silence, he's not knocked up.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's a very the Baba and the Kukulkan especially struggle into this Ganesh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it too much with Apollo, but even
Apollo in general at the moment, I just think is quite.
yeah.
It's surprising with how strong Silver Branch has been in the meta, but Apollo just doesn't synergize well with builds at the moment. He does not utilize them brilliantly, and the God right now is just not very strong.
It also
in my opinion, I do not find that you can bring in much value.
And it just doesn't feel good if you don't build trans. Then even if you build trans, you're gonna lose half your mana, which is a lot less mana than you have to work with than other enemy gods. And then as well with, I guess you can say there's a very niche situation where Ganesh has his silence up, he's gonna try and peel, and then Apollo can get to the side of him and mez him to cancel out the silence. But I wouldn't pick Apollo for that.
No, I think there's just better things that they could have picked. And the other thing is, like, right now, how easily the Babylonians pick is countered by what we actually saw being hovered on by Just Build Different, which was the Cupid. Cobain's picked this before and done very well on it. Cupid stops Baba Yaga from dashing. It stops Kukulkan from dashing. It stops Apollo from dashing. There's so many ways that this Cupid can do work against this team already. I really like that being drafted if it does get locked in. I just think overall, like, Just Build Different are drafting better right now.
Well, I mean, the team fight oriented team is building around team fight comps, and unfortunately, Babylonians don't really have a lot to say against the Cupid and Ganesh. It's, you're going to fight us, or we're going to kill you, and if you do fight us, it's not going to be easy. I don't really know what. There's a few picks that Benadryl can pick into this, but even then, if you have 2 good picks into their comp, 3 of them are still struggling.
Yeah, I mean, they need what here? They need their mid, and they need their jungler, so they've still got both of those picks available. I think Darji's going to be good. Neither Cupid or Ganesh having CC immune ultimates. In fact, neither does the cleaner. If she's out of the wall, Darji will be a really high value pick here for the Babylonians if Marsh can play it. That would do a lot of work for them. A lot of work, just because he's going to force those beats constantly.
Even then, if you pull Ganesh and a Cupid, nothing's going to stop them afterwards from just ulting at their feet, which makes it very hard to follow up. But I do agree that Darji's still a valuable pick. It's just it's very difficult to work around because if their beads are up, you're not going to get the pull, and if you pull them, a Fields of Love is not an answer you want to see back at you.
No, and beyond that, it's actually the support that they need, not the mid. I misspoke. Honestly, maybe even like Terra, just to be able to provide the healing if they engage on you.
But even
it's difficult. They've drafted so well here, Just Build Different. And because of how poorly Benadryl Babylonians have drafted so far, it's going to be difficult for them to find any value out of their support. course won't do much against the Ganesh, because the Ganesh can see his abilities coming and silence it.
Geb's not a bad answer, because...
Yeah, it wouldn't be awful, but he's only going to be able to kill the one character.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the Ymir just to block them off from walking away?
That's a good shout.
He's going to stop a lot of their mobility, but then the Ganesh can dash through it.
And Cupid can go to another wall, so realistically it only is against the Cupid.
Yeah.
They could take the Jin Chen for themselves.
They could. The other thing I'm actually thinking for lockdown is going to leave them limited on magic damage would be an Odin.
Odin's not a bad shout. I mean, first of all, Relic definitely needs to be sprint if you're getting out of that Fields of Love. 100% has to be sprint.
Yes. The fact that how much value that the upgraded spring, you know, that entangling wing spring, this late game, or the Sprout, is huge. The CC it has, yeah, but the CC that item has, that has got to be a key relic at the moment. He is so strong, but it is so strong. I apologize. A really good item to build into. It does a lot for your team. So yeah, I just think that the way that this build, they need to pick something that's going to be able to sort of trap Cupid and stop him from using the things to peel for himself, or something just with huge range. As we are going to just skip the rest of the picks and bans here due to the delays, how things have gone. We are going to just get into the game and see what the rest of these picks were, and actually what we see is Cleaner going into the jungle. It was the Cupid indeed locked in for Cabane, traumatized on the Gilgamesh. Marsh picks the Humbats in the jungle, and we have Gordon playing the Nox in the support. So picking up a silence of his own.
Okay, so the Humbats is a very smart pick here.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they drop all their ultimates, a Humbats is going to be like, okay, no. As well with the Nox. And the Nox, White Silence is just amazing. The issue I have with Nox is that if she's pinned down, with her being a mage, unfortunately not Guardian, her base stats are a bit lacking. It's easier to burst down a Nox than it is a traditional support. But he also has his dash, but again, if he's in Fields of Love, he's not dashing anywhere.
Yeah. The thing, you can then use the darkness, the giant ball of darkness and grim nightmares and whatever else on the Noxus, the CC immunity. It is going to reduce the damage output due to the way that it works. It does reduce damage output, for you don't know. So that is going to be a nice little counter to the AoE damage that's there. And I think the ability that it's going to have to burn beads is also going to be good, as we see here. Gordon going into a low-nose mask, and what I'm really hoping for is a Manticore Spikes. Because with the Nox one, you get permanent spikes up, and it's just horrifically good.
I didn't know it procs multiple times, but one thing I do like to note here that I don't know how I feel about it, but knowing JBD is probably going to go quite well. Baron in mid.
I've seen NoPexD play this before. I've played against NoPexD playing this. It's not terrible.
The only issue with this Baron is that if they can dive him, he doesn't have that much of an answer to it. And looking at Benadryl's Babylonians comp, it's quite decent into the Baron, but it's also one of those things that if they struggle to get to the Baron, that has a lot of free casting, which provides JBD's teamfight potential tenfold in healing.
And they are going to struggle to get to the Baron with this Cupid ult. If Cabane and NoPexD play this well, they sit next to one another, they don't split off too deep, they're going to be able to do a lot of work. Now there is obviously the risk of the Humbats then, but provided one of them has beads available, which is quite likely if they're positioning well for later game team fights, they are going to be able to just burn down anybody who engages on them really nicely. The Baron will actually output a lot of damage while taking away a lot of damage. Cupid's going to just do a huge amount because he's a hunter, but also because he's got the stun, he's got the mesmerize, he's got the healing, he's got mobility. The only thing he's lacking is that CC immunity. And I just think overall what he is going to bring to the team fight means that this Baron's just going to be able to live. I love this just build different draft. It's incredibly safe. Their team fighting potential is incredible, and it's all going to be down to how many beads they can pick off before these fights, so that Marsh and Gordon can do their thing.
Also, Gordon got to a sprint, which is nice to see. But one thing that I think what Benadryl kind of need to depend on is the Humbats plays. If he gets really good ults and they manage to bring back the team fights, that's going to be huge for them.
And they are going to be relying on that. So that means the aggression like this, where in the duo lane they're taking a lot of damage already, They can't afford, because with a Hoombats you're waiting for them to get an item and a half online. As Traumatized going really aggressive into the 1-2 Hunter here. Is chasing him down, doesn't quite pick up first, but Cullen healing just about. Coming in clutch with that blue buff as well, getting the extra HP 5, but getting very close to a solo kill there from Traumatized. Big damage coming out from him.
I mean, Traumatized is quite terrifying to lane against, and plus I think while Gilgamesh isn't my favourite solo laner, I think it's quite competent to the Kukulin.
Yeah, I think Gilgamesh, now he's enabled again, he can just do so much. And, you know, Tyr, after that first game, he's going to be feeling himself. The 1-2 Hunter maybe going to be feeling like a little bit like, oh god, you know, I've struggled against this guy. He's done really well. Has beat him in the past, is worth noting. Has beat him in the past. But in this set, not quite finding that much luck. And Traumatized here just bullying him to start off with in this lane.
Honestly, I think I would have rather seen the Cleaner into solo, and then we would have had potential
Yeah,
way we would have had more.
we see Alyssa here, a little bit out of position. Dorsey does actually take the burst damage from the Nox and getting rooted after taking a lot of damage himself. He still has 2 potions available though. Gordon has none, Alyssa has a couple as well. Cabane doesn't have any left, so a lot of sustain left available for Benadryl Babylonians as the 1-2 Hunter here just about getting his blue buff from Traumatized, who's going for that invade. I don't blame him. On duo side here, Alyssa dashing in, Dorsey out of mana. That is going to be a stun from Cabane to stop any further pressure. Both ADCs taking about as much damage as one another, and I was wrong about the sustain. Cupid has a Baron's Brew. I missed that one.
Plus, Death's Torn is 2. He has a lot of sustain.
Yeah, this Cupid pick is going to be very safe. Not going to be able to clear brilliantly in comparison to an Apollo until he's got, you know, a couple of items online to actually be able to do the damage to clear, but, you know, it's not going to be too bothered with that because he can just engage on this Apollo as and when he wishes.
Yeah, and as I was saying earlier, I think I would have preferred this Cleaner. Oh wait, hold on.
Seeing Megatron here looking for the 1-2 Hunter. He's being caught unaware, doesn't dash over. Silence and takes enough damage. And missing Megatron here, gonna pick up the first blood. The 1-2 Hunter stepping up alone and fooling. Missing Megatron, getting a really nice kill there. Traumatized level 5. 1-2 Hunter not. Missing Megatron with a hog.
That's quite interesting.
I think somebody forgot they have it.
I mean, extra jungle play can't go wrong. I mean, that gank, he just played that mechanically really well. He didn't miss anything, and there was not much Hunter could have done.
No, and Megatron taking his just desserts, just taking his rewards, taking a couple of minions away from Tyr as well, just to get that extra XP. I think it's fair to say he's earned that.
If this Cleaner gets a significant amount of lead against his Humbats might just be out of the game, because while he, you know, he still has his ult, that's all he's good for behind.
Yeah, it is. I'd almost want to see him transition into more of a tanky build, to be honest.
Like, this team comp that Babylonians have is very fragile, and I think it's very, like...
It's
JBD's...
easy to pick apart, isn't it? I just feel like it's quite easy to pick apart.
Yeah. JBD is a very teamfight focused team, as we've seen before, and their comp is very, very difficult to deal with, and with how fragile Babylonians' comp is.
See the ult coming out from Cabane in the duo lane, looking aggressive onto Gordon, who has no mana. He is managing to get out of it, but that is abilities used from the side of Just Built Different.
Yeah, I mean, the JBD comp doesn't have too much to offer in the early game, but it has a lot to offer late game. And with them being just how they play it and stuff like that, they drafted it brilliantly. It provides them everything that JBD would want. And we could have seen Dorsey's Jing Qian in this comp, honestly.
We could have done, but I think they saw the Baba Yaga, they fought Ganesh.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
And I completely understand that.
Oh no, definitely. Like, but what I was trying to say is that the other 4 are so well picked. I think any of the 2 would have been good here. But the fact that he's flexed into this Ganesh just shows that adaptability and the amount of foresight they thought about when going into this game is just really well played by them.
It is. I also think the Babylonians almost handed the draft to them a bit after with their next 2 picks. 2 that really get punished a bit by the Ganesh as well. But, you know, so far they're a kill down, but is that the end of the world? No. Is it the end of the world if Marsh gets picked off here? Maybe. The knock coming in. The ult does come in from Ganesh and Taka get there. Megatron goes for the kill onto Marsh, but Marsh does manage to escape. Still has his ultimate available. Really importantly there, he did not burn his ult. So where Gordon and Taka did, that is ults in favor of the Babylonians. Still having that Humbats ult available is quite impactful as on Duo's side. Cobain's getting aggressive onto Alyssa, hits the heart bomb, doesn't have the Fields of Love to follow up, but is going to dash after Alyssa anyway. Not going to find much luck with minions blocking the attacks. Now Alyssa just going to back, probably going to walk back to the wave here. Mystic Megatron is lurking, but with the back coming through, he's just going to walk away and take some neutral farm.
Yeah, I mean, so far, speaking of farm, so far the JBD seems to have a solid lead difference in 3 of their roles, and then gold-wise, it's looking like a 600k gold. No, 600k. Fucking hell, that'd be a huge lead. 600 gold ahead, so it's not that big, but a couple kills and maybe an objective, it's just that's gonna go into a hefty lead.
I mean, if there's a 600k lead, I think this game's been going on for about 27 hours.
As soon as I said that, I was like, okay.
Yeah, we all make mistakes, such as me. I've got 127 days of gameplay in Smite. Yeah, here I am.
Why do
Still
we play
playing
this game?
Smite.
Stop watching this. Go outside. It's sunny, please.
I did go outside. I'm ginger. It didn't end well.
I'm talking to the audience. Go on, do something better with your day. Go read a book.
I read a
Anyway,
book.
back to the game.
When did you last read a book, Mitch? Did you last read?
I was reading my book 2 days ago in my back garden. Thank you very much.
What book are you reading at the moment?
I'm currently reading through the Game of Thrones series.
Ah, nice. Taga being forced into the beads in mid here. There's a throne that he won't be sitting on, is the Relic Throne, as NopeXD still has his available. Taga taking that little bit of engagement. He just felt a little bit unsafe, needing to force him to get out. Mystic Megatron doing a little bit of farm stealing here, really sort of punishing the lack of early pressure that Humbats has. And Dorsey here looking for a potential red buff steal. Oh, Darman Pillars does come out, but it's not well enough placed to be able to get the steal onto the red. Packer's just sitting there. Gordon needs a hit just to prove that he can. Cobain is going for some damage. Still has the Fields of Love available, but Alyssa having the beads and the ult isn't going to be too punished here. Although Cupid ult is going to hit before Alyssa goes into the air. So Cobain definitely has the potential to be aggressive here. Can look for it, although Gordon and Marsh are lurking. They're spotted out by Mystic Megatron. Meaning that we likely don't see much here. And really nice entry into the wall there by Megatron to stop himself from getting engaged on. Although where's he going?
Oh, there he goes.
Dashing in. He gets, in fact, he gets picked up by Gordon. Does get some damage out on the ult off, but Mystic Megatron being forced into the beads. Marsh uses the Fear No Evil, but Cobain turns around with the Fields of Love. Now Gordon's out of position. He falls to NopeXD. 4-man rotation from just built different comparison to 2 from Benadryl Babylonians. That's a 2-kill swing. Alyssa's going into the air. There's no way she goes for Mystic here. She does, and picks Mystic up. Lazy
Nice.
backing. Not recognizing the Apollo in the air there for the kill, and Alyssa picks up a free one for the return. And that's Benadryl Babylonians onto the board.
The Apollo kill is pretty nice, but I mean, even with the Humbat Assault, the amount of like dominance the JBD draft shows just came through. Like, yeah, I Humbat Assaulted, but then he got followed up with by a Baron and a Cupid ult, which did not do that much. And even when they were going for the Cleaner's passive is just completely game changing. Like, in no way do you have to play around Cleaner like you do with any other god, because the ability to go into a wall, be invulnerable to quite literally everything, and come out whenever you want, is ridiculously hard to play around. So they focus on a character who can become invulnerable for a few seconds, only to drop their arguably best ultimate in their comp. I say arguably, it is their best ult in their comp, only to be followed up by just 2 ultimates.
I will say, in fairness to them, the Cleaner had just come out of the wall not long before that, so likely wouldn't have had the timers to have gone back in just at that moment. But I do agree, very much the case of playing around quite a safe god, especially with the ultimate coming out and the fact that she has lifesteal when she leaves a wall, so you're not going to be able to burst her down quite as efficiently. Initially, is Taka stepping up a little bit here, NopeXD missing the little snake bite and the heal on the Baron, so Taka taking no damage, NopeXD taking a couple of hundred in return. Nothing crucial, nothing major, but
getting some pretty nice burst damage from this Baba Yaga, which of course what she's known for as well, is once... Oh, hold on, we've seen a gank here.
Yeah, is Alyssa aware of this? I don't think she is. Alyssa renowned for not warding, does use the beads, avoids the stealth from Mystic Megatron. No more gonna come from it, but Alyssa, it's about time you learn to place some wards down in your lane.
Also, I'd like to note, just as we briefly saw there with the Cleaner leveling, I prefer matching the 2 or the 3 first over the 1.
Yeah, I think having the range is fair, but for this composition, this Cleaner very much has the ability to just go in as the beads come out from NopeXD here. He gets ulted during the CC immunity and does get the Baron Samedi ult off. isn't necessarily going to fall here. The Baba Yaga ult is chasing, but not going to do enough. And Alyssa's looking for it. She's going down, but she goes down onto Gabain, who doesn't get picked up. Alyssa now taking a lot of damage from Mystic Megatron. Dorsey's dashing in for the follow-up. Mystic Megatron sort of waiting in the backline. Blink does come out from Marsh to get himself to escape as Traumatized is here. Traumatized jumps onto Gordon, does get kicked into the wall. The Gilgamesh Sands come out. Gordon falls. And just poor fight mechanics there from Benadryl Babylonians, meaning not only do they not pick up the kill from their ultimates, but they fall in return.
Okay, two things to point out this team fight. That Gilgamesh ult was not necessary. He was already dead. But the main thing I want to focus on, as soon as Alyssa ulted into that team fight, Ganesh just shut down. Dozzy completely just said no.
Yeah.
Like, plus also excellent peel for Dozzy. He managed to keep his balance Sandy alive. But it's as we said, this Apollo is just a very weird hit.
Yeah, I think Alyssa wants to kind of show that having the rotations can be meaningful as the Hunter picks up Mystic Megatron there. Actually, Alyssa going aggressive onto Gabain. Gabain falling a bit low. The so beautiful missing though. And Gabain is just going to walk away and heal.
You're so beautiful. Anyway, with
Thank you, babes.
speaking of the Apollo, I just feel like Chernobog would have been better overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very weird pick. I mean, hopefully we can talk about it in one of the interviews at the end of this game. I hope we should be able to get interviews, but we'll see how it ends
I think
up.
we have time provided the players do, but yeah, I just think what Dorsey did really well there is just waited for Alyssa to start landing and just placed the Diamond Pillars down so that she immediately took 2 or 3 ticks of damage on landing. And there's no way that Alyssa could avoid it. And you saw within the space of a second there, she was down to 1/3 of her health at
It's also
this stage of the game.
I also forgot as well to mention is that I don't know if Chernobog was in the first set of bans, but we didn't see the second one, so it could have been. Never mind, it was Apollo's second pick.
Apollo
I'm
was
being
picked
stupid.
second.
Yeah, hold on, we're counting the entire thing. No, never mind. Just ignore that entire statement. Yeah, I don't understand the Apollo pick, but anyway, back to the game.
Yeah.
With I'm looking into this build now.
I'm looking at the Ganesh build.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. The Chronos Pendant, I'm not too fond of as a support player, really, because I feel like if you get caught out, you do not have the defenses to survive. But Dozzy's not getting caught out, and with Dozzy being Dozzy, he likes his aggression. It makes sense, because Ganesh ult hurts quite a bit, and with Chronos Pendant, having it up a bit more definitely doesn't hurt him.
Yeah, every little extra bit of CDR is going to help the supports, and with how Dorsey plays, I mean, we look at the last game on the Jingqi, and I think he used his ult twice in the space of about 50 seconds. With that Chronos Pendant helping out, and that was from 2 or 3 items, so with the Ganesh having an even lower base cooldown on the Dharmic Pillars, that's even more pressure that he can pull out. I mean, if he gets the max cooldown reduction, he's going to be having that ability up every, 40 seconds base?
Yeah,
Then with the Chronos on top, that's about 35 seconds.
I mean, it would be broken with Bauble, but thankfully it's not available at the moment.
Yeah, thankfully for Benadryl Babylonians is the 1-2 Hunter here has a little bit of an XP lead on Traumatized, who's still just not giving a single damn and bullying him with this double shield build here. Very, very interesting. Alyssa's going into the air. I wonder what she's looking for here. She's rotated over to mid. Are they going for a Pyromancer play? No, they're looking to Traumatized. 1-2 Hunter does push him out of position. Across the skies lands onto Tier. So Beautiful does hit and make its mark, and now the 1-2 Hunter's chasing in. He's taking a lot of damage from this tower, and Alyssa's just hitting the tower. Alyssa, get in there and help your solo laner. She's now dashing out. She's just thrown her solo laner's life away. She's thrown her own life away. Dorsey's here with the Dharmic Pillars. The Mesmerize comes out. That's not going to matter. Traumatized picking up a double kill, and Alyssa once again overextending in the solo lane. This time as ADC, and she's losing her tower in response.
Why did you go for tower? I don't understand that play. Like, okay, I understand the play if it works, but like, I don't understand why she went onto tower, and even then, I don't know why, but even in a different role, why is Alyssa in the solo lane?
Yeah, I think the only logical reason there is that you want to take the tower so your solo isn't tanking as much. But just, it was not low enough for it to make a difference, and then just built different and got Pyromancer.
Oh wow.
Inferno Evil comes out, Marsh is falling very low, jumps in spot, doesn't quite die to minions, gets behind the minions. Bane is instead going to fall to the 3-man gank, but almost trades out with the Cupid there. Marsh falling very low. Just built different, did get the Pyromancer. They've got a tier 1 tower in the duo lane. They're looking at a tier 1 tower in the mid lane as well, and they are most likely, indeed, they are going to get it. Gold Fury not up. This game is swinging much harder than the last one did.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just kind of a thing with Humbats as a whole, is that his damage doesn't come out that quickly, especially compared to Cupid, where, yeah, in a situation, even if he's like a bit ahead, the Humbats against a Cupid, it's just not in his favor as well, with JBD now stretching into a 4K gold lead, and I think we're probably going to start looking for an FG relatively, not soonish, but as soon as that Fire Giant is secured by, you know, ideally JBD in this situation, it's going to be quite a close game.
Yeah, I think right now they're probably going to play it slow. Look for the fact that this Oni Fury is upright because Oni can really slow down a Fire Giant push because you have to go and deal with those minions. If JBD can play around that, take that Oni Fury, the pressure that's going to bring them is essentially the free Fire Giant because they have so much of a lead right now. Cabane's quite big. Tyr's got this attack speed online as his build, plus the fact that the Gilgamesh has the extra scaling. He's going to be able to, they're going to be able to really shred down a Fire Giant between the two of them. And as we look at Tyr as well, is that going to be a kin size coming out?
On Tier. That's quite interesting actually, because he could go the heavy Exy.
No, he can't because it's still, I believe it's still comp banned, is it not?
It is. Wait, is it?
It was. I don't know if it still is. I don't know if they got hotfixes here. Missing Megatron dashing into Marsh to look for some damage. Not really finding a huge amount there. Really not doing as much as I'd have expected from the cleaner at this stage. The lead's really fallen off considering how much of one Mystic had early. Just not there anymore. It's Gordon.
Gordon going
For
into
the earrings again, I'm really hoping that goes into the Manticore.
It's most likely Manticore. I mean, you can't go into Bobble, and then I don't think you're going to build Nox with Fabulous Hoops.
No, I don't see that would make much sense. As we do see the rotation from the 1-2 hunt here. Missing Megatron is looking in the backline, but that's two big ultimates.
Oh no.
Before the fire really comes out, Cabane picks up Marsh. He gets blown up before they can even respond. Taka also gets picked up by Cabane, who's found himself into the backline here, and he's getting ignored completely by the Benadryl Babylonians. Alyssa's dashing out now. Goes into the ult. Cabane has a triple kill. Gordon's now stunned outdoorsy, but Cabane's dashing forward. He wants more. Does he want the Penta? He's not going to get it. JBD instead looking here. He has, Gordon's back has stopped. I don't know if the timer is still going to be there in time for him. Gordon just popping out that silencer, and yeah, no more going to come of it. But JBD taking this tier 2 tower, probably going to take the Oni Fury next as well. And these fights are just swinging further and further away from the Babylonians, now at a 7,000 gold deficit from what was 4 only moments ago.
Yeah, I mean, that fight went perfectly for JBD because they managed to pick up the Humpats really quickly. It was just, that's the one team fight ult that's really going to make a difference, and if that's gone before the team fight even properly starts, there's not that much hope for the Babylonians, in honesty.
Yeah, I don't even think they managed to get many ults off there. Like, the Nox ult is still available, as is the Humbats ult. They don't have huge amounts of CC yet, outside of the Humbats, so right now I'm just thinking, exactly what we expected was going to happen in the draft here. Just built different, able to take these team fights to the Babylonians before they even have a chance to do anything in response.
Also, I think Manticore passive is good, but I don't think stat spread wise it's really worth building onto Nox, because if I'm thinking correctly of maths, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you gain, you know, you defend.
Ooh, counter engagement here onto Cabane, who has to use the beads from the Fear No Evil, but he's eating a lot of damage from Marsh and Taka here. But
Amazing
the
peel.
Dorsey ultimate Dharmic pillars, meaning that Marsh falls. Cabane very low, the 1-2 Hunter engaging. That is a shell coming out from Dorsey. Alyssa across the skies does land, the 1-2 Hunter picks up the kill, but Cabane 1-for-1 so far, missing Megatron finding himself falling low. Attacker's there with no beads available, no ultimate. He's going to fall to Traumatize. Traumatize is just in the backline. Alyssa with kin size is chopping out a lot of damage onto these tanks, but it's not enough with the healing coming out from Nopex D and the follow-up damage. Missing Megatron blinking into the backline. Alyssa just dashing away, but now Gordon and the 1-2 Hunter are very low. Alyssa has to use the Aegis to get away from Mystic, and Tyr still has the ultimate. Picks up 1 on Gordon, picks up 2 on the 1-2 Hunter. JBD are looking clean.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, with this Nox, I feel like the Suns field is definitely good. The main issue that it runs into with Manticore is that it doesn't provide any that crazy good of stats. It's like a bit of health, a bit of HP, a bit of MP5, which just kind of hurts the survivability. And then with this Ganesh, it's just doing so much. Like that ultimate was just perfect. It completely just deleted Marsh from the game.
Right now also sitting quite low on level. He's only level 15 here on the Hubats, almost 21 minutes in, sitting 2 levels down on his lane opponent, who
Oh
he's
no.
having to ult just to escape, but still taking the damage from the ghost channels. Mystic Megatron forcing out the blink as well. And if we look at the XP differences here, the only place we're not seeing it is in the mid lane. Just Built Different really pushing their lead, and NopeXD showing why he moved down on the draft tier list recently.
Oh no.
So
My rock
Alyssa,
as well.
nice use of the Mesmerize onto Cobain. Actually, Alyssa almost turning that, but gets hit by the Heart Bomb. Cobain just about falls. And this is the problem with Apollo. Once that Mesmerizes down, he really doesn't have much to sort of escape. And with the passive gone as well, just not doing enough to stop the Cupid, just killing him. And the Manticore Spike does come out here.
Yeah,
Health,
and we do see the
regeneration,
multiple coming through the
CCR.
knock now, which is, I don't know, I just don't think it's that worth of an item overall. I think it's awkward to use as well as with the way these team fights are going. By the time Gordon hits his hard CC, which he only has, you know, one of, ideally, I don't think a Manacle's spike is gonna give his team like what they need to turn around a team fight.
Yeah. Now, granted, the Spike does proc on every single tick of the Nox one.
Mm.
However, the real problem this Nox is just a lack of cooldown. Only sitting at 10%, just not able to get the abilities off quick enough. Where this Spirit Robe is, I almost would have liked Pridwin, because it's still providing some defensive stats and that extra 10% cooldown reduction that you're going to get to start to be able to match the Ganesh here. And actually just to be able to more reliably combo in these fights is going to be so important, because Nox without that combo, it's just not doing anything for your team.
It also kind of hurts as well, is that the only anti-heal item they have is Divine Ruin against Baron now. That just doesn't feel good. Oh my god.
Yeah, the 1-2 Hunter again pulled a little bit out of position. Traumatize using the beast to go aggressive, but now Marsh is here. Give Alyssa and Gordon and Taka. Traumatize using the ultimate. 2 Hunter and Marsh falling a little bit low. Dynamic Pillars come out. Marsh still has the ultimate. They've not even committed onto this, where they really could have picked up tier. He'd used his beads. He could have died there really easily.
Yeah, I mean,
We're just
plus,
scared.
yeah, and they're just throwing out their ults immediately to peel. Like, I mean, if Humbats is being chased, if you get him to ult to defend himself, he is not doing anything in the next team fight.
He does still have the ult, but honestly, just look at it aggressively there. Like, you could have forced Tyr under the tower, no beat. Instead, using air to force Cobain away and Dorsey, but nothing else following up now. The Fields of Love, as well as the Life of the Party coming out. Squadron does get pulled in. Gordon falls very, very quickly. Now, the 1-2 Hunter's running away. Marsh dies instantaneously. Lissa, the only one even looking remotely healthy here. Taka taking a lot of damage. Does not have the ultimate to get into the air. Cobain picking up yet another triple kill this game, and this time there's much more potential for Cobain to get the pentakill. Looking forward here, Alyssa and the 1-2 Hunter just about getting into the base, but they're taking a lot of damage. Cobain's dashing for it. He's under the Titan now, and Alyssa just healing up enough that he's not going to be able to get it, but Just Built Different. Pick up the tier 2 tower. They pick up the Phoenix. Alyssa's in the air. Who's she looking for here? She's looking for no one. Instead, pathing back to the fountain. Staying up in the air to look to maybe land on someone here as they siege the Titan. Just Built Different. Still in the air. Dharmic Pillars are there. Alyssa lands right into the midst of them.
Shut down.
He dies in less than half a second. Just Built Different take the set. That game 2 was so clean.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the Benadryl were just heavily outdrafted in this game. Don't really think there was that much they could have done in response to that comp, especially. Well, I mean, they could have responded to that comp. It's just they chose not to.
Yeah. I think they saw the Ganesh, they picked poorly into the Ganesh, and by that stage, there was just no saving it.
Yeah, I mean, like with that comp, especially with Ganesh is a god that once it's picked, it completely throws off what you're gonna pick. It like you need to pick around that Ganesh because if you can't work around it, I mean, just clearly shown they couldn't work around it, and then adding that with a Cupid, a Baron, and
There
then of
was,
course with the wins of Shamash from Gilgamesh, it's just such a team fight oriented comp.
yeah, it's so much ability to defend their own backline as well. Like, there was just no stage where you ever looked at Just Built Different and just thought, they're in danger of losing this fight. There was no point in which that happened. And I think because of how they've drafted, that's why Cobain has been able to be such a monster in this game. An MVP for game 2 is easily him.
Mm.
No way that it could have been anything else.
Yeah, and I think Cobain's definitely MVP this game, surely. Like 10 and 2, nearly 2 quadras, and just that. It's just great pick, great ults. He was forcing so much, and then no matter what happened, he was just always there, destroying them. And I think
Yeah,
also Dawsey's definitely it's either him or Dawsey because Dawsey's pure and setup was just phenomenal that game.
it was indeed. But I think the use of the Fields of Love, both aggressively and defensively in this set, was just in this game, sorry, was just so good. Diving pillars were good, don't get me wrong, and it definitely helped Gabain have that setup, but he was using those regardless, and they were used perfectly almost. I mean, I don't think there was one that didn't hit at least one target. He
Yeah,
played it brilliantly.
you can also
Um,
argue that Traumatized deserves MVP for game 2, but he's got it in game 1, so you can
yeah,
sit down and let your
I
team have
think
some glory.
Tier can take set MVP,
Yeah, yeah, okay, so you get set MVP. We love you.
but yeah, Gabain definitely takes the game too. Um, what we are quickly going to do is go and check to see if we can get any player interviews in here, see if we can talk to either of the teams. But in the meantime, we are we are looking we're looking at things here, and I'm looking at damage numbers. So little was done,
Hmm.
and I just in general, I just feel like it meant that we weren't really able to do a huge amount from the side of the Babylonians because their main team fighting Ultima just wasn't able to get in there and do anything.
No,
It
definitely
was,
not.
yeah, I think combined with, say, as we said, the Apollo, which just in general now not the strongest god, not the strongest pick, it's really easy um, to just shut that down as soon as it lands. Has no mana, doesn't fight the best. It's easy to kill during the wind up to the ultimate. Like unless you play it well, it's really easy to just lock down.
Yeah, I mean, especially with how they had the other game in game 1, so the Babylonians, couldn't really show that much of a dominant force again. I'm hoping, as now that Gordon's has returned to the team, I'm hoping this this week's set and hopefully in the tournament they do manage to bring back some of that force that they brought in game 1. But honestly, like JBD's JBD, they're such an extremely difficult team to play into because these guys just work off each other really well.
Yeah, I mean they've got this cohesion that they've had throughout the entire season. The one time that they've really looked weaker is when they didn't have Dorsey for a match, and they lost in the mid-season tournament because of it. They lacked that one player, and the cohesion kind of went away. So that's the main problem they have is they've got this incredible cohesion. Don't get me wrong, but there's definitely a couple of key players in there that hold things together.
Yeah, it's
I
also
think
nice.
if you take that away, then we can start to see it fall apart a little bit.
Hmm. It's also nice to know is that every team has been improving in the league, so I don't think JBD is going to take the final tournament so easily if they do, because I think honestly the final tournament could really go to anyone. Just depends on who shows up.
Indeed. I mean, we saw that in mid-season. I mean, King guys were the favorite going into it. They're top of the table. They went out. They went out in their semi-final in their first game of the tournament. They fell to Protectors of Yggdrasil.
Hmm.
So there's definitely the potential for teams to come in and throw around some difficulties. Um, Speaking of difficulties, Printers is AFK, so we are not going to be able to get the interviews because we can't move them into the correct channels. But here we do have them. Gentlemen,
Yay!
good evening.
Hello.
Well played first off. How do you
Hello.
feel everything went?
Honestly, Chelsea, what do you
Wonderful.
think? Because I thought it was really fun.
I missed the question. Sorry, hang on.
You missed the question. How'd it go, Dorsey? How did you feel the game went? How did you feel look after the drafts and everything? How it all came together?
I think it went alright, to be honest. I actually spoke during the games.
Just
You
all right.
actually spoke.
I actually spoke. It was
He's
crazy.
improving. He's
I'm evolving.
improving.
I've evolved.
It's honestly wild. It's really, really nice.
I threw out some comms as well.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Nice, nice. That's what I like to see.
So, I mean, moving forward, you guys are top of the table. You're going into the last week. Who is your last fixture?
Last fixture, what do you mean?
So you've got one more game to play before we go into the tournament now. Who is your last fixture against?
It's
Uh,
euphemism, I believe.
Don't know.
I
It's
think it's
someone.
euphemism.
Oh, Protectors.
Protector's a
Okay.
big GSL.
Okay.
Protectors, yeah. Could be
So,
another easy game.
it should be another easy game. You say that. Protectors have had a couple of shifts in terms of their player bases.
Yeah, but they have Threaders, so.
Ooh.
Oh
Have
no.
it. They have Threaders. My question is, they've got him in the ADC role. He's not off of solo now with Sped coming in. Tier maybe not able to find some of the dominance that he has in the past. Now he's played this game lights out, and absolutely, spanked Benadryl Babylonians on the backside. But I mean, against a team they've had some shift arounds. You sound confident for sure, but is there the potential that they could throw out an upset in this last game? Do you think?
There's always a
You never know.
possibility. It
Yeah,
depends. Depends who turns up.
Okay. I
I don't
also
think
have a.
I
Oh,
don't
sorry.
think it depends on who turns up. I think it's very much just treat it as like a normal league game, just see how it goes. Don't treat them any different than anyone else, right? So
I also have a follow-up question, kind of in the same vein. Obviously, not this week, the week after. We're obviously going into our finals tournament. Is there any teams in particular that you're kind of like weary of that set the tournament, or do you think it's going to be a clean JBD victory royale?
I don't think it'll be clean, but I feel like I think spaced out.
yeah, I agree on that. Like
All the other teams are terrible. I'm joking.
no,
I'm joking.
no,
No, but I think spaced out would be our biggest thing.
how dare. Yeah, I was gonna say notably spaced out out of anyone. Like any of them could take it, but still, spaced out is the one that is very much probably other team to beat, right?
Archer, that's us.
Yay! We're there.
Yay!
We're mentioned.
Oh, how
Woo!
convenient.
Yeah,
Um,
I can't wait to fight you.
I mean, we got the JBD dual lane, and we got the spaced out dual lane right here.
yeah, this is just wholesome vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got one last question. The drafting for game 2 then, Jing Chen available. You opted into the Ganesh. Was that specifically for the Baba Yaga, or did you have a greater game plan in mind in that one?
I can't tarnish the Xing Chen 100% win rate. So we
Yet.
already had the one win today on that set. So I haven't lost a game of Xing Chen this whole set.
Has
That's
Yoshin Chen been
Mm.
banned from you yet?
I don't think so. No.
I don't know why, because everyone knows that you have a Jing Chen.
It's
Well,
very
Yeah.
surprising. No one's gone for like a respect ban for it. It's kind of wild.
We were expecting
looked
it,
like they
honestly,
kept
in game 2. We were expecting it to come out because it did do quite a lot of work in game 1, just of how often you had the ultimates available and how you're using it to peel. So,
Yeah, it's
Also,
always fun.
I have just one last question. I know he said last question, but it's going to be this one. But so game 1, Benadryl Babylonians had actually quite a good early game. What do you think of that? Did that ever like make you anxious at all, or did you know that once you got to team fights, you were going to handle it pretty well?
Well, I mean, the Horus always has pressure, doesn't he? Horus and I don't know who the other one was, but they had a
It
good
was
pressure in duo.
Chernobog.
Chernobog,
Yeah.
that was it.
I
So we
feel
can do
so.
anything.
This was an interesting one because I do feel that um I was very aggressive onto the Chernobog whenever I could be. So, any single time, my ultimate being up quite consistently, any time that he would get stunned, I'd immediately ult after and engage because that way I've won half of the fight. As for like the other lanes, I can't really speak too much on them because like we were communicating quite a lot throughout the game, especially around about that point. So it was just like, oh, okay, everyone knows that these people are like what to work on and what to do in this current current point of time.
I can also imagine that there was a lot of comms of where is the Al Kwang?
I need to give a special shout out, by the way, to Mystic for that save.
Oh
was-
yeah.
yeah, that was a big save.
Yeah.
On that front, I actually thought this about your build. Lack of sustain against the Ao Kuang, and honestly in lane against the Chernobog, where the pick normally can do quite a lot of bullying just through the same time of clearing, and is also very safe against most picks. How come no sustain?
Well, I got this. It was very much like I got the death toll from the get go, and I was like, okay, they're not. He's not like being aggressive on me, and I have a few wards up, like every now and then.
You were just
Like,
comfortable.
yeah, I felt comfortable. Obviously, I did get killed a couple of times due to not like the lack of wards. Like, what do you think, Dorsey? Like, what do you think about
I
that
have
game?
no idea how to build carry, so I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, I don't know why you transitioned to the support play for an EDC. But
wait, I'm here too, Kavane.
Oh, go away, Nacho. Nobody asked you.
Okay,
Um,
I'll leave.
So, thank you very much, gentlemen. Wish you all the best of luck in your final game, and we look forward to seeing you in the final tournament of this season.
well played,
Yeah.
guys.
Well
Cheers,
played
thank you.
indeed.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Shout outs to Donna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that as well, we're also going to end the stream there. So, everyone in chat, thank you very much for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed this set of lower division Glorious Smite League between Benadryl Babylonians and Just Build Different. JBD taking the set 2-0. Going into the final week of league play. Stick around for these final games. There's sure to be some form of upset before this season ends. Enjoy your evening. I've been Ginger Archer. Alongside me has been Vile Blood Mitch. Our device on the spectating. Have a good evening.